This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And we are back for another edition of the Onside Kick right here on Most Valuable Podcast. And Mark, it's a great day today. You want to know why?
Is it because it's mock draft day?
Because it is the, not just mock draft day, it is the final mock draft day of the 2018 season. This is our final mock draft that you and I are going to do in the same room together. Now,
yes.
I say in the same room together because, as you guys have all known, I've said this for a couple weeks, I finished it today. I just have to do my writing for it all week. I have a full 7-round mock draft that I will be releasing next Tuesday in article form. This is the last mock draft for the Onside Kick. So we're going to go through 1 through 32 like we normally do. I really can't wait for this one because I'm confused about some things, especially like we're going to get in the first one. 4 through 8 confuse me to no end. Mm-hmm. But before we get into everything, a little bit of housekeeping here at the beginning. You want to help support us, make sure we can do what we do for you. Make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Going to have Christian on the show next week. How do you become like Christian? You check out patreon.com. That's what you do. Also, if you want the shirt that Mark's wearing, show off the shirt, Mark. I had wore it too, but I had to go and change because I didn't want to wear the same shirt as Mark. Yeah, I went all the way home to change my shirt.
You not can check willing to deal with that.
You can check out the store link in the description. MostValuablePodcast.com, which I've mentioned already. That's where you can check all of our stuff for MVP. And then last but not least, if you have an Apple Podcast account, you have an iTunes account, go give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. And Mark, it's mock draft week. Like I've said before, it's mock draft. How do we do it? We split it up into 3 segments. The first one, we're going top 10, 1 through 10. I'm going to let you go first like you always do. Take us through your top 10 picks.
All right, starting with the Browns, number 1 overall, Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC. Then we're going to go to the Giants, going with Saquon Barkley, the running back out of Penn State. You know, some people are saying that their love of Barkley is a smokescreen. I'm not quite buying it. I think they actually like him. Josh Rosen going to the Jets, quarterback UCLA. Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Browns, again, at 4. Defensive back, Alabama. Quentin Nelson going to the Broncos at 5. We have Bradley Chubb going to the Colts at 6. Denzel Ward, cornerback out of The Ohio State University, going to the Bucs at 7. 8, Bears, Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, defensive end, edge, whatever, Virginia Tech. Then at number 9, to the 49ers, Marcus Davenport, the defensive end, University of Texas, San Antonio. Now we got the Raiders, Josh Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa.
Well, we'll roll right into mine. Before we do, though, I saw that Marcus Davenport pick, and I loved it. Mainly because he's a guy that I feel could get into that top 10.
He's creeping up there. But he's getting some love.
I just don't think he will because I think that Tremaine Edmonds will block him and knock him down a couple. But my top 10, starting at number 1, the Browns, going with Josh Allen, the quarterback out of Wyoming. Then the Giants follow suit, quarterback, this one from Southern California, Sam Darnold. Then the Jets, they have to go quarterback after that. They're going to go Baker Mayfield, quarterback from Oklahoma. Then we start our string of non-quarterbacks. The Browns at 4, could go anybody. They're going to go Saquon, running back from Penn State. Then the Broncos, taking Quentin Nelson, getting that guard that's going to help protect Case Keenum. Bradley Chubb then goes to the Colts, the defensive end from NC State. Buccaneers getting that corner that they need, going with Denzel Ward out of Ohio State, or the Ohio State University is what I should say. Then the Bears go Minkah Fitzpatrick, the cornerback safety defensive back from Alabama. Then Tremaine Edmonds, the edge rusher from VT, going to the 49ers. And then rounding it out at number 10, the Raiders taking Roquan Smith, the linebacker from Georgia. And before we get into what I want to start with, the thing I have to say is I have to address my number 1 and number 2. Because like you have Browns at quarterback, Giants at Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, running back.
With my 2 picks, this is how my mock draft works. The first 2 picks are not what I would do. It's what I believe the teams are going to do. Every other pick is what I would do. And the reason I did that was two things about the Browns. First off, I heard today that Colin Cowherd said an executive told him that the Browns are 50-50 on Darnold and Allen. Well, I heard in the past also, ESPN, you name it, that they like Josh Allen. So I'm like, you know what? They like a guy. They're going to go with Josh Allen. And I've heard that the Giants, if Darnold is there, they are not going to pass on him, that they like him that much.
Exactly.
So that's where I'm thinking with these first two.
And it's
the
a
rest
tough
of my
one,
mock
really.
draft is what I would do.
With 1 and 2, we weren't really planning to talk about 1 and 2, but just since we're on it, it is the answer of if Sam Darnold goes, I don't know that the Giants do take their quarterback because the Giants, you say that the Browns are 50-50 on Allen and Darnold. The Giants supposedly seem to be 50-50 on Darnold and Barkley. They really like both of them. And some people out there are saying that if Darnold is there, the Giants are going to take him. Some people are saying they don't really love Barkley as much as they want. They're just doing a smokescreen, which I would say is, who the hell are they smokescreening? They're number 2 overall.
Yeah.
The only people above them are the Browns, and the Browns, people are saying they love Josh Allen, sure, but if they take Darnold, then your smokescreen doesn't trick them. They're just going to take the quarterback they like. So I don't believe any of that. I really had them go with Barkley here because they're saying that they really do like him, and they're saying that they might have, 1 or 2 years out of Eli left. So I'm going to take him at face value for this one.
And another thing about the whole Barkley to the Giants thing is, what would you rather do? And I'll ask you guys, what would you rather do? Take a running back in 2 and be like, okay, that's my guy. Or take a guy like Darnold at 2, and then with that pick you got in the second round, because they're going to have the 34th pick overall in the draft, you could possibly go with a guy like Darius Geis and get a running back.
Not in my mock draft,
I'm starting to think that, hey, you know what? Geis could be there in the second round. Why not get him there, and then you don't have to go running back number 2. But the thing I did want to start with was basically picks 4 through 8. And the reason being is, while I was going through my 7-round mock draft, I'd get 2 rounds in, then I'd be like, no, I'm going to change the 4th pick. Then I get 4 rounds in, no, I'm going to change the 4th pick, which would change then everything, because it would change what teams would then draft throughout it. So this thing took longer than it had to. Browns through Bears could literally go anything. Like, it could, any order you could imagine, it could possibly be, because the Browns control the fate, obviously, of these picks. Do they go Saquon? Do they go Quentin Nelson? Do they go Bradley Chubb? Do they go Denzel Ward? Do they go Minkah Fitzpatrick? Both you have defensive back because Saquon's off the board. I have Saquon on the board at 4. Part of me wanted to make the Browns. The first thing I did was, screw it. We took quarterback number 1. We're going to take that, like you said before we recorded, Quentin Nelson. Apparently people are saying he's going to be that guy. Plug him in, 10-year all-pro for you. Don't have to worry about it. What should the Browns do at 4, and how do you think that's going to affect 5, 6, 7, and 8?
And number 4 is really where it starts to get chaotic, sure. But potentially, actually, the Giants could throw a wrench into it if they do what I do. If they go with Saquon.
Or if they trade.
That throws some things off. Yeah, if they trade, you assume it's because of a quarterback.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't go quarterback, which is what most people are kind of expecting, I think it was just... I think it was McShay or Kuiper who today was basically saying he still thinks that they'll go with Bradley Chubb. And they think that he's thinking that
You're talking
because
about
of
the Browns at 4.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Giants to mess everything up. He still thinks Bradley Chubb because they want to replace JPP. Now for the Browns, I have them going with Minkah Fitzpatrick because I think he is just a shutdown kind of guy. And there's something that you did in your mock draft, and I want to draw attention to it. You had, and you're not the only person doing this, you crept Denzel Ward above Minkah Fitzpatrick. That is a thing that if anyone pays attention to mock drafts, has only really been happening in the past couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And what I believe about this is that this is one of those things that happens every year where there's no way it's actually probably going to happen in the real world. But people who do mock drafts, I'm not making fun of you here, Ricky, but you get bored and you do something like that. You're like, I guess I've made the argument in my head just because I do a mock draft.
And it's funny
sure, Denzel Ward could go ahead and make it.
It's funny that you bring that up because originally I did have Minkah to Tampa Bay. However, the more that I thought about, the more I thought about it, the more I went to, and with my mock draft, the thing that really, really, really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, affected this was I did my first round, then I went on to the second, went on to the third, and I kept thinking in my head, okay, wait a second, this safety, I didn't really think that this safety would be available here.
Yeah.
Let me go back to that pick, put my mind into that team. Let's go with this. And obviously you can't do that on draft day. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe this pick would have been better. Okay, how does that affect everyone else? Because then I'm putting my mind back into there.
And that's kind of what I'm going with this. Something like Denzel Ward. It's the kind of thing where come draft day, I find it very hard to believe that a team is going to take Denzel Ward before Minkah Fitzpatrick.
It could happen.
And a lot of people are being like, well, yeah, you got a corner versus a safety, but Minkah Fitzpatrick can do whatever the hell he wants. That guy's going to play whatever he wants. Like I've said before, there's people who don't even think Denzel Ward is the top corner that's going to go.
Some people think Josh Jackson's the guy.
Exactly. So, that's why for me with the Browns, I think it all starts off with Fitzpatrick. And it's a difficult thing because if Saquon is there, he is the guy who's going to make the most immediate impact on a team, probably. Bradley Chubb makes an argument because defensive ends typically make a great impact on a team to begin with. But both those players are going to be dependent on what the team has. If you've got a team that has a terrible offensive line, drafting Saquon Barkley is not going to help you.
No.
But drafting Quentin Nelson, if you want to go by need, but if you're not going by need, because I'm saying that Barkley and Chubb are your BPA, then going with the defensive end is going to be the thing that helps you. There's always that kind of old adage for the NFL draft that says if you're in the top 5, you want somebody who throws or catches touchdowns.
Rushes the passer.
Or rushes the passer. Exactly. You want a guy who's going to score you points, typically a wide receiver, even though it doesn't really happen that much, or a quarterback, or you want someone that's going to hit somebody. Hit the quarterback. And the rationale for that, of course, is that those are your high impact people. Those are the people who you can plug in day one and they make an impact. Whereas opposed to, when you draft an offensive lineman, yeah, he's going to help out, but there's a lot of other things going on there that he does not have direct control over. So for me, it's tough. I put Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm not going with that rule at all. Part of it's because Saquon's not there. But Minkah Fitzpatrick's my guy who I have number 1 overall, and it's real, or not number 1 overall, but in this part, he's 4.
At 4.
Because he is that guy who's going to shut things down. Where I could have Bradley Chubb, and I actually debated putting Bradley Chubb there instead for the Browns because of the idea that it's just a deadly guy who can get to quarterbacks, and that shuts down the other team.
Well, and the thing with the Browns too, and I've had this thought in my head when it came to cornerback or safety, is if I'm the Cleveland Browns and I'm picking between a cornerback and a safety, the whole thing that plays into that too is if I'm going Denzel Ward or Minkah for the Browns, I would go Denzel Ward, and the reason being is, to me, Minkah's more of a safety. I just drafted Jabril Peppers last year. I just traded for Demarius Randall. Do I want to load up on that one position or get a guy who's going to be, to me, a better corner?
I still think Fitzpatrick, either one, I'd put him starting above either in this case. I mean, and that's not a bad thing because you're going to have times where you are playing, whether it's 3 corners or 3 safeties.
Yeah.
You're going to do that quite often in the NFL, and it's one of those weird things, too, where we've seen guys like Richard Sherman and Josh Norman who are such well-respected people in the league and can shut people down, but at the same time don't really get the respect from their team. It's the same thing of why, which one is it that hates running backs? Is it Kiper?
Yeah.
Mel Kiper Jr. hates running backs.
He hates running backs going in the first round.
The first round. He loves them any time after that. But, it's one of those times where you see that, and it's like, well, the argument against a running back is always they don't get, even the good ones, look at Le'Veon Bell, look at Jordan Howard potentially, they don't get respect from their teams.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of affects a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick a little bit, or a Saquon Barkley a little bit, that they're not, the position doesn't get the respect it deserves. Because if you're going to go pure BPA, and there's a lot of times right now, because we're talking about the draft all over, a lot of people right now are saying, it's such a gamble for, let's say, the Giants who have an Eli Manning. Picking a quarterback is such a gamble. It could not, there's a potential that it might not work out for you, and you don't want to upset your veteran. As much as we like to talk about Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you have a really good quarterback, they retire, and that guy who was your quarterback of the future, he's not very good. Yeah. It just doesn't translate. So there's some risk to that. And right now for me, and I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, so I'll bounce it back to you. But if you're going pure BPA, these quarterbacks are not the guys who should be going off the board right away.
It should be Saquon and Chubb.
Well, exactly.
And that's why, to me, the guy that could throw a wrench into really 2 through 8 is Bradley Chubb. And the reason why is he could go to the Giants. Jets, they trade up, they're going to go with the core. There's two things that are sure. Browns are going to go quarterback at 1 or 4. Jets are going to go quarterback at 3. We know those for sure.
And that 1 or 4, it really probably is 1, but there's just a slim chance.
There's a chance. But the pick that I think that now I'm thinking about is the Broncos. And I almost right now on the podcast want to change my pick for the Broncos because,
we agree. We shouldn't change picks.
For me, there's 3 ways the Broncos could go. The first one, option A, is quarterback.
Yep.
Option B is protect your quarterback, which is then Nelson.
Yep.
Or option 3 is give me that pass rusher in Bradley Chubb. And really, whichever option the Broncos go, it determines if you go option A, then I don't believe you with what you said about Case Keenum being the guy and the missing piece and whatever you want to say. To me, it comes down Nelson or Chubb. And Chubb's the BPA. Don't get me wrong. I know what we said about Nelson. Oh, plug him in. He's going to be a 10-year All-Pro. But Bradley Chubb's the BPA. And the Broncos could use a pass rusher at the defensive end. They got Derek Wolfe, and then they've got Adam, I'm going to say this wrong, Gotzik on the outside. I would take Bradley Chubb over any of those guys. However, you got to protect that quarterback. Yeah. And when you got a guy like Nelson there, can you pass on him? Because no other guard in this draft is going to give you what Nelson brings.
And for me, that's really what it, because, this is a rare situation where we agree on 5 and 6 and 7, actually.
Well, the Colts could trade back. Yeah. I'm with our guy, Team Shane O'Mac, for the team trade down.
Yeah. We are in a rare situation where we agreed 3 picks in a row.
Yeah.
That does not happen very often. Now, the reason why I did the same thing, because I do agree, BPA, Bradley Chubb. But Quentin Nelson's the guy I take. And the reason I'm doing that for a team like the Broncos, because I only had 2 quarterbacks off the board. They easily could have went and gotten Josh Allen, not Rosen, Baker Mayfield.
That's right. I was thinking of mine, not yours.
Yeah, Josh Allen in mine. They easily could have done one of those things. And apparently
Lamar
John
Jackson.
Elway likes Josh Allen. Yeah, you could do it, but I don't know why you would that far. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, so everybody's just going to let Lamar Jackson be the heir apparent to Tom Brady, and just let them go win some more Super Bowls. People are really high on Lamar Jackson out of nowhere. It was like after everybody was saying he should be a wide receiver, and then there was the pushback. Now everyone's like, he's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Everyone's just declaring that all of a sudden. Anyways, the reason I had them go with the guard is really the fact of when I'm doing something this high, I kind of wanted a sure thing. That's what pushed it over for me. Because really, when you think about it, John Elway has had some pretty decent whiffs, and I wanted him to get that sure thing victory here. A guy like Quentin Nelson, I think, is a very safe pick. Not that Bradley Chubb wouldn't be, but let's look at Jadeveon Clowney. Yes, he's made a huge impact, but he hasn't been worth, I think, that really, really high pick that he was used for. That was a 1 overall. I don't think that they're really going to be scared by Jadeveon Clowney because he's still really good. But I look at that and I say, I want a sure thing. I want a guy like Joe Thomas. I know he's not a guard, but I want a guy like Joe Thomas who's never going to miss a game. He's going to be there for years. Line. Yeah, a guy who just shores it, and I don't care who's back there. Doesn't matter to me. You have Quentin Nelson to help you out. Where Bradley Chubb, sure, that's going to be great. That's going to be helpful. But I think that this is a pure rock in your offense and your team for years.
Last thing I'm kind of thinking about is this is something that, of course, this is a commenter. This isn't like ESPN, Fox Sports or anything. But before we went on, I looked at a comment for The Outcast with Buzz and Juice, which you guys should check out if you love Chicago sports. And one of the commenters said it's pretty much guaranteed that our guy is Calvin Ridley.
For the Bears,
even if that's trading back. I want to ask you this. The Colts have kind of been that team. Like I said, I'm team trade down with the Colts. Will there be, who is A, the most likely to trade back out of the top 10? And then B, who could be the surprise that they trade out of the top 10?
I would say that the most likely to trade out, I actually think it's the Broncos over the Colts, which I think is what a lot of people are going to think because the Colts have already done it. I think part of that is the Colts did already trade back. I don't think they're going to trade back again.
Yeah.
The Broncos, you already got some picks out of that. The Broncos are that team where, especially if it goes quarterback, yes, there's going to be some really good players there, but people are very focused on the very good top 10 people. There will be some good quality top 10 talent that falls out of the top 10 if more quarterbacks go. Especially if you get a Browns, Giants, Jets, all of them take quarterback, and then the Broncos trade with the Bills, they end up getting that number 12 and whatever else happens, whether they somehow get the 22 in that or not. You're going to get a really good guy like a Tremaine Edmonds, a Marcus Davenport, potentially a Denzel Ward or something like that. One of these guys will fall out of the top 10 and will probably be there at 12. So you're still going to get really good talent, and the fact that next year you're probably going to have an extra first-round pick. And especially if it goes to a team like the Bills that's rebuilding and is going to get like the fourth best quarterback, there's a good chance they're not going to be that good this year, this coming year. So I think that the Broncos are the team most likely to do it. My surprise team, Browns at 4.
You think so?
They keep doing it, so why not? They'll get their quarterback already. Why not trade back again? And the thing is, too, it's the way, if it goes quarterback, yes, the Browns aren't going to take a quarterback.
Then you put a high price
scared?
on that. You put a high price on that.
Exactly. If you're the Bills or something like that, are you scared
the Cardinals
that the Broncos will draft that quarterback? Or if the Broncos don't, are they going to trade it to one of those other teams that need the quarterback? There is a lot of pressure. The run has happened. You might be a team where if you believe that Lamar Jackson is a wide receiver, you're sitting there going, there's only one quarterback left that's worth drafting. I need to go get him now.
No, and that's something I didn't think of. And mine's a quarterback mock of at 4. Would the Browns even field because for me, I'm in the mindset of if I'm the Browns, just draft at 1, draft at 4.
I
don't
agree
worry
with
about
you,
trading back.
But it's the one thing where we've seen their history.
Because you can get 2 surefires at 1 and 4 if you play it right.
But are they going to be one of those teams that sits there and says, the team they've been so far that goes, yeah, but I would like to have more next year?
See, the reason why I don't think so
is because they've already done it.
The Browns are done with Moneyball. They're done with Moneyball, and number 2, I think it's the whole process of it's almost like the same thing. And Browns fan, correct me if I'm wrong, Browns fans listening, is I can't remember his name, but the guy who was there that was into that trade back collect picks. He's gone. He's out of here. It's kind of like the Sam Hinkie effect for the Philadelphia 76ers. TTP, trust the process. We're not going to take one guy here. I'm going to trade back, accumulate more picks, and keep that going over and over. I don't care how bad we suck. One day we will be better. In the NBA, we've seen that work, TTP. That's all I hear. But with the Browns, I think they're done with that. They got rid of him for a reason.
Depends on how nice the picks, how nice the calls are.
Well, there's that too, but I think they're done with that. Take the best guy at 1, best guy at 4. I would be surprised, and that's why you said it's a surprise team.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if the Browns were trading outside the top 10, if they traded with the Bills, if they traded with a Cardinals, because it's like, why did you get rid of him if you are just going to do the same thing that he would do?
When somebody offers you multiple firsts, it's hard to say no.
It is, and first overall, our first round picks. first overall picks for the Browns.
Especially when you were an 0-16 team.
Valuable things. Any other things we didn't talk about in the top 10 you feel like we have to hit?
I think Bucks and Bears are an interesting one because they kind of in the 4 through 8, just because they kind of are that. And you can even throw the 49ers in there. They're the kind of what's left over after the aftermath. If it's 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, 4 quarterbacks, one of these teams might surprisingly get a Bradley Chubb.
The Bears could trade up. Ryan Pace did it last year.
He did it the year before that, too. He likes to trade up.
What if Ryan Pace likes someone at 6 or 5 that's not a quarterback? Is he going to trade up to go get him?
He might. I mean, it's
like a Bradley Chubb,
it's what he does.
Saquon Barkley.
He is the kind of person that uses that aggressive, I see my guy, I'm going to go get him mentality in the first round. Then he does whatever, but we'll see.
But like the one thing I've seen criticizing Ryan Pace today is you'll do that, but you won't go ahead and tender Cam Meredith so we can get a second rounder out of it.
Chicago Bears fan. Here's the thing about being a fan in Chicago. We do this every year.
All I've heard today is why didn't he tender
the
him
Chicago
so
Bears fans?
Pick?
I mean, I agree. Would it be nice to have a second round pick? Sure, but they obviously didn't think he was worth that. Now, here's the thing.
Because what if the Saints go...
and the Saints might not have done it. Yeah, exactly.
Also, let's be honest. Didn't Ryan Pace come from the Saints organization before the Bears? Come on. You're telling me that the Saints didn't call him and say, hey, do us a favor. We're going to offer him. Don't tender him. Don't tender him for us.
I doubt it. But here's the thing in Chicago. And we're not the only team that does this, the only fan base that does it. But every year... It's not even overreacting. Well, it is, but it's not just that. Every year, they pick a darling. Last year was Tanner Gentry. It was Dane Stanzenbacher of 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, Dave's darling.
You pick somebody who's not that great, but is okay or
hero.
Good.
It's a hero.
Yeah, it's the hometown hero. And that's the thing. The kid's out of ISU, out of Illinois State University. People just love him because he's the hometown kid. So many people I saw were just like, oh, you're getting rid of this homegrown talent. Who cares if he's homegrown? What are we, the Green Bay Packers? It's just one of those things
we
where
hate them.
The guy, he is good. He is a good wide receiver. He had a good year. His next year he was injured. He's not worth that much money. People were freaking out about Tanner Gentry, how the Bears didn't keep him. It's like, yeah, but nobody else wanted him either. True. The guy got cut and no one wanted him really. So sometimes you just got to sit there and remember that I'm not in the room. I'm not the GM.
You don't know what's going on.
I might not know what's happening. And if the only other team that really wanted him was the Saints, all right. Only one team was really interested in Cam Meredith.
Well, and then we're going to cut this short because the camera has gone off on us. If you guys, first off, Packer fans probably hate me now because I mentioned with us being Viking and Bear fans how we don't like the Packers too much, but we talk about them anyways. Also, if you guys want to tell us what you think about our top 5 picks, let us know what you think down below in the comment section.